Hello, this is Pat Cahill from Pat Cahill Metalworks, and today I thought I'd have a little bit of fun with some anti-clastic forming. But before I get started, I wanted to show you some of the tools that is used in this process. Typically one has a bunch of stakes going from shallow to more dramatically curved, as you can see, all the way down to real itty bitty ones. And with those you typically use, when you use metal stakes, actually I'll show you this. This is a holder for the stakes. You put it into the holder, clamp it down, and this goes into your vise. So it's a nice little thing to have. So with the metal stakes, one would want to use a nylon mallet. You don't want to use metal on metal for a number of reasons. One, you're nick up the metal, and two is that you're bang divots into your work. Now, if you want to get a hammered finish, that's the time that you might want to use metal on metal, but that's towards the end. The other option is to use these nylon stakes themselves. They fit in here too, as you can see, and with them you use a metal hammer, and you want to use, these are very large indentations, so you want to use a hammer that has the largest head. And as you work down towards something with a very smaller indentation, you start to use smaller heads. You want it to fit in there. You see that? Let me show. You want the hammer head to fit the groove that you're working on. Of course, some grooves are going to be so big, but you're never going to get a hammer that fits this whole groove, but you use your biggest hammer and you work with the thing. And I'm going to actually be using this to do the work today. So what I've done, so those are the tools. Basically, there are stakes and hammers that you used to do the anti-clastic forming. Also, you can use like a ring mandrel. This one's a small one, and that can be to fold over, maybe close off spiculums and other types of things that occur when you're doing anti-clastic forming. So I've just sawed out a piece of copper. It's 22 gauge. It's a little bit thinner than I'd like. I prefer to use 20 gauge, but I don't really want to go over 20 to 18, because then it becomes a little bit hard to move and you're constantly having to anneal it. And the whole process of anti-clastic forming really strengthens the structure of the piece you're doing, so you can get away with using thinner gauges of metal. So let's get started. So I'm going to go set up my stakes and we'll get going. I'll meet you over at the vise. I'll be right back. Okay, here I am. Got my setup ready, my stake ready to go. Piece of copper. And one of the first things I want to do with the copper is just to make it a round piece. Someone can use anything. I'm just going to use this Louisville slugger. It seems to work well for me. And so I just rounded it out. And that'll give me a start on the form I want. This is going to be, like a cuff bracelet, or maybe a bangle bracelet, depending on how you think of these things. So I'm going to start with the largest indentation stake and my largest hammer, and I'm going to go the edge, you want to start from the outside and work your way in from both sides. So, and keep pressure on your piece so it doesn't flatten out. You want to maintain that curved shape. And when I started, I didn't do that, so I'm going to have to adjust it a bit. So I want that curved. And right at this point, I'm not worried about it being, it's not perfect or anything close to being perfect. So all I'm doing is starting to form the anti-clastic shape. So we go down the other side. And all this is just taking your time. Letting the hammer do the work. Your hand shouldn't, just let it drop on it. I'm going to curve it out a little bit. And if things get in your way, you can twist it. Okay, so that's my first course along the edges. And we'll repeat that, going down a little bit more. Again, if you need to adjust it, you want to just twist it in the other direction. It doesn't fit in there nicely. Oh, that's not the way. You can play with it. You'll get it so that it's just the way you want. Okay, I'm going down a little bit more towards the center. Okay, so now on the other side, still trying to maintain my circular shape. So you just beat it up a little bit if you have to. As we get towards the end here, you're already in the middle. You've done enough on both sides. And to curve it over, you can actually bang it just off the edge of your steak, and that'll form a nice curve. Okay, so keep working it. So I'm going to continue to do this. Continue to form it. And stay with this portion, the widest of my steaks, nylon steaks, and I'll get back to you. But basically what I'm going to do is just keep pushing it down. Like that. And we're start to form the cuff. So let me work on a little bit off camera and then I'll get back to you. So I keep working it, and as I'm nearing the end, I want to make sure that there's no little wrinkles on the outside. So that's what I'm concentrating on now. Get all the edges nice and even. Sometimes you have to adjust it so you can get into the spots that you want. That looks pretty good. So that's what we have so far for our cuff or bracelet. The reason I keep wavering between cuff and bracelet and possibly bangle is that cuff to me always has a gap in between. A bangle has no gap. You have to swoosh your hands in this way. And of course they're both bracelets. Now I'm just, I see if I saw a little bit that wasn't a nice oval shape that I want, sometimes you have to flatten it out or bang it over a little bit. But that looks about right to me. So at this point what we want to do, well, there's a million things you can do at this point. You can put on some texture. You can actually fold form it if you want, but you probably would have started earlier than this. You can give it a hammered finish. You can actually, on this end, maybe you want it to be a little more anti-clastic. So give it a little bit more of a curve. So it starts out shallow and becomes more curved as you go. So I'll use this middle one over here to give a nice gradation of the anti-clastic curve. And there you have it. Now, see? I think that looks pretty nice. Now it's cleaning it up. Now, depending on the type of surface you want, if you want it perfectly smooth and polished, you're going to have to spend quite a bit of time here doing a technique called bouging, which will take out any of the marks that you put in. We haven't put in a lot of marks, but we certainly have put in some marks. So I'm not going to worry about that because that's not what I'm looking for right now. Just actually today all I'm doing is playing around, just having some fun with anti-clastic forming because there's just so many things you can do with it. And this is a rather simple design, but it's a nice design. It's light, it's easy to wear, and it looks dramatic. So I guess the best thing right now is to figure out what we want to do with the surface, and I think I'm just going to give it a good polish it a bit. Again, I'm still sitting here trying to take out any little bumps or divots that I see. I'm not going to be able to get them all out, but this little bit helps. Okay, and in doing that, remember you're going to affect your your oval, so keep checking that and making sure that that's nice. And there it is. These anti-clastic forms can be twisted in this direction. They're very easy to move in that direction, but they're not very easy to move in this direction. It doesn't want to. So some people, and I'll show you later another example where you can use that to put the bracelet on and off. So let me, I don't know if there's much more to do. This is it. It's just giving it the type of surface I want. So I'm going to polish it on the buffer, the outside, and then we'll see how it looks, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I just polished it up, and there it is. Pretty interesting cup that's pretty easy to make. So that's just one of the many things. This is an easy sort of first project for anti-clastic forming. And here's another one I did too, in a similar sort of design, except that I kept it straight and then tucked in one side inside of it. So that's also a nice way of doing it. And there you have it. Well, thank you very much, and I hope to see you again soon.